Hello, everyone. My name is Nader Kashani. Uh, I am a member of Solid Media Technology in Vancouver. Our company is a distributor for MikroTik in Canada and Western US, and we are also distributors for OptCore technology fiber optic equipment, uh, which are mainly the SFP modules and DACs and active components, uh, not routers and switches and devices, but accessories. And we also partner with Grandstream for their IP telephony and networking equipment. Uh, what we've seen recently is that there's a lot of hype about a new interface, which is speed on the interface, which is the 2.5 gig uh, interfaces which are being introduced. We saw it in MikroTik's RB5009, and of course it was a Ethernet port, copper-based 2.5 gig, and now we're seeing a lot more switches which are from different manufacturers, including MikroTik and also Grandstream and others, which are moving from 1 gig copper to 2.5 gig copper, and then we are seeing a trend where the fiber ports, 1 gig fiber ports, are also migrating to 2.5 gig. I've got an example of this. We have the L009 here, which has a 2.5 gig fiber port on it, and we have the cards which are manufactured by MikroTik, L11UG and L23UGSR, which I'm using on this device here. So we're seeing more and more of the 2.5 gig fiber and copper ports. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, which is interesting, is that a lot of people which buy these 2.5 gig devices, they don't buy 2.5 gig enabled SFP modules, or they don't utilize the 2.5 gig port. They just, all the accessories that they have is the 1 gig device. But today we're going to talk about an, a new idea or a different idea, and that is I'm suggesting that all of you guys who have 2.5 gig SFP port devices, such as the L009, you must understand that if you use we can't use a 10 gig SFP module in a 2.5 gig. So basically, it's downward compatible. You can use a 1 gig SFP module in it. So you're effectively downgrading your 2.5 gig port to a 1 gig port, which doesn't make any sense. So the idea is that I've set up a laboratory here, so we can introduce the 2.5 gig. Well, the ones that we have here are the OptCore 2.5 gigs. They're compatible with Cisco, MikroTik, Grandstream, Ubiquiti, and most of the devices which don't require a specific pattern. So this is the copper version of the 2.5 gig. So basically, once you plug it in to the, let me just get rid of this. Once you plug it in into the 2.5 gig port, then you have another copper port. Now, that then provides you a 2.5 gig direct connection. If you're connecting this guy to a 5009 on the first port, then you are going to get the full speed on it. The other items which we have are the 2.5 gig, again from OpCore, the 2.5 gig SFP modules. These are 20 kilometer ones, and for my experiment today, I'm gonna take this camera and show it to you. I have the 3005 here, MikroTik 3005, and I have a 10 gig module in this port, which, as you can see, it's a 10 gig device, and the other module is a OpCore 2.5. This one is a OpCore 10 gig, and also that is connected through a OC3 cable, which should give you 100 gig in a short distance, to this guy, which is the L23 GSR port, and this is a 2.5 gig multi-mode. This is multi-mode. Of course, they're all multi-mode, but this is 10 gig, 2.5 gig, 10 gig, 2.5 gig, and 2.5 gig here. Now, what we want to show is that you can actually put a 2.5 10 gig in a 10 gig device, and put a 2.5 gig in a 2.5 gig device, and communicate together on a MikroTik and get a link which goes as much as 2.5 gig. But, or you can have a 2.5 gig in a 10 gig slot, and a 2.5 gig in a 2.5 gig slot, and set up a link which is just as fast. Now, I'd like to move this a little here. So let's have a look. So what we're gonna do is again take a look at both of the devices, and I'm gonna show you how we've done this on a Wimbox. So we have two Wimboxes here. One, as you can see, is the L23, which is down here, and we have the other one is the oops, sorry, I think I've got one of them wrong, so we'll open a new one and try to find the 305. So there we are. This is the 305 device, and so basically this guy has one SFP port. As you can see here, it's an OpCore OSP 2488-8503 DCR, which is a multi-mode SFP module. And on your Ethernet, what you need to do is disable the auto negotiation, put 2.5 gig, and same goes on the other side, which is the 305. here, and go to which interface is it? It's the SFP2. Let's have a look at this. This is SFP2. Again, you can see it's OptCore OSP2488-8503 DCR, which indicates it's a 2.5 gig, 300 meter SFP module. As you can see, the TX power, RX power, current, supply voltage, and the temperature of the module. The same is here. It's running at about 42, 45 degrees centigrade. Can get hotter than this, but it's not an issue at all. And on the status side, you can see for both of them that they are running at 2.5 gig, and there is traffic going on between both of them. Now, this is great, but remember, what you need to do is on the Ethernet side, disable auto negotiation, put 2.5G base X, and that's it, you're running. Now, for the next one, what I will be doing is that, so let's take a look at the traffic, and what I will be doing is that I'm going to switch over from the 2.5 gig SFP on the 305 here, and we will plug it into this 10 gig SFP, because this is a 305. You can take a 10 gig or less and see what happens. So as you can see, we had the disruption of service, and hopefully we're back again. Or are we? So the 305 is not responding. So let's have a look at the port. And now we're on the first leg. That wasn't responding because obviously there was nothing connected to the empty port that we had before. Now we're looking at the first SFP. So here we have the status, traffic, and we're running. But let me go back to this SFP module, and as you can see, it's OSP 10 gig dash 8503 DCR, which is different to the other one because this other guy is OSP 2488-8503. So the one on the L23 board is a 2.5 gig. The one in the CRS305 is a 10 gig. They're working perfectly with one another, and that's it. So the idea is for you guys to think about it. When you're buying a 2.5 gig device, you should have the accessories to make use of that speed which is being afforded to you. I hope this video helped a little bit, and Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.